All right, hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of the Dreamers podcast. Today I have Annabelle from That Good Shit with me. If you kind of want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what you do.
Yeah, hi y'all. My name is Annabelle. I'm a music curator and I'm the founder of the platform called That Good Shit. And I'm also a content creator around all things music.
So, I guess first to dive into That Good Shit, what kind of, simply explain that to the audience and then kind of tell how you got started with wanting to create That Good Shit.
Yeah, so That Good Shit is a platform that I created that I call it a music curation platform, but we do a lot of different things. It's a blog, so we have an Instagram and a website where we share stuff like album reviews, artists to watch, stuff like that. We basically just share all types of good music. That's why it's called That Good Shit, just sharing good music.
Mm.
We also do interviews and we host big events, usually showcase events with performances from a bunch of small artists. And we also sell custom playlists. So you can buy a playlist from That Good Shit and then let us know what kind of music you like, and we will custom curate a playlist for you. I started That Good Shit after I started making videos on TikTok around the end of 2020. I just started making like silly videos on TikTok, like what his favorite rapper says about him and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And then when they started doing well, a lot of people were asking me to make them playlists. So I started That Good Shit as just a name under which to sell custom playlists to people. And then it ended up growing into the platform that it is today with, the blog, interviews, and a bunch of stuff like that.
So, you've obviously been able to grow, a pretty decent sized following and, host several in person events and, do interviews with bigger artists, which I'll kind of get to later. But I know just a few months ago you were featured in Forbes. So I got to ask, what was that like? And, how did that kind of make you feel that, you you're putting all this hard work into something and it's getting recognized in that sort of a sense?
It felt really surreal. I mean, Forbes is something that, like, if someone I know got written up in Forbes, I would be like out of the world excited for them. Like, that's just such a big honor. So, when that happened for me, it was just so surreal. I still can't even believe it happened. But I mean, it happened really casually. Just Riley, who's like a really good friend of mine and is a writer for Forbes, just reached out to me one day and was like, "Hi, I write for like music and culture section on Forbes, and I'd like to like interview you for an article." And I was like, "Dude, like what?" So it was really cool. It felt very validating. It felt really nice to know that the work that I put in was being seen, and especially being seen as something so innovative that it made it to Forbes.
So awesome. And you talked about kind of playlists being one of like the main things. Or when did you kind of discover really enjoyed? Because a lot of people make playlists, spend some time doing it. But when did you realize like this is something that I want to, you know, really take seriously? Be able to monetize and that kind of stuff. Kind of take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I've been making playlists for as long as I can remember. Like, I was always the one on aux at parties or events, and I was always the one putting my friends onto new music or making playlists for my friends. And so I never really thought of it as something that anyone could make a career out of until I saw it on TikTok. I was scrolling and I saw someone saying that they were like a playlist curator,
Hmm.
and immediately like a switch flipped in my head, and I was like, "Oh, like that's a thing!" And immediately then I knew that I wanted to do something with that.
So then, being a music curator with both in regards to playlists and everything to do with that good shit, how much music would you say that you consume, every single day? Like, what's that process like? Reviewing tracks that people submit.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to music pretty much all day, so I listen to a crazy amount of music. I think I had like 80 something thousand minutes on my Spotify Wrapped,
Whew.
so it was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm listening to music pretty much all day, and I get submissions from a lot of different ways. I go through my email every day, and I have a bunch of people sending me music. I have friends texting me music, and then
Hmm.
That Good Shit has a submission form where we usually get anywhere from 1 to 300 songs a week. I have a team now who helps me listen to all of the submissions through our submission form, so that's helpful. But I still usually listen to all of them myself.
Hmm.
So I'm listening to music just all day, every day.
So yeah, with I'm sure you guys get tons and tons of submissions, and then obviously just listening to music on your own that you want to listen to in your free time. I'm sure that takes up a pretty good chunk of your day. And then I also wanted to talk to you about the playlist keychains that you guys did, and kind of talk about what inspired you to do those and kind of more about them.
Yeah, so the playlist keychain originally was a keychain that you put on your keys, and on one side it says like that good shit, or the original one said listening to that good shit. And then on the other side was a QR code, and if you scanned the QR code with your phone, a playlist would pop up. Now we have the second generation of the playlist keychain where you just tap your phone to it and a link to a playlist pops up. So
Hmm.
the idea was to just have like a portable playlist. And I think that playlists are just a really fun way to connect with other people. Like you can make friends through like sharing a playlist, or you can like send your crush a playlist. And I just think like playlists are a really unique way that people communicate. And I just wanted to create something that put that into like a physical form. So I just thought like something you put on your keys that you can take with
Hmm.
you anywhere, and you can just be like, hey, like tap your phone to this, and it's like it's a playlist. I just thought that that was really cool, and I'd never
Hmm.
seen it anywhere else. So yeah, I just wanted to make it happen. And it was like super DIY. Like I got all the supplies on Amazon. Like
Uh-huh.
I still just make the keychains myself. So
Hmm.
it was something really simple, but I had just never seen it done before. So I wanted to make it happen.
So yeah, I mean, I just thought it was really cool because I mean, you wouldn't think like how would you make a physical product based off of playlists? I mean, yeah, you could do like a shirt with it or something, or like, but I think that's really cool because I mean, it's super portable. Like you said, you could just easily show it with a friend, a crush, someone you're eating dinner with. It's super easy, portable thing. So I think that's a really cool idea. And I also saw you had done kind of custom one-on-one bucket hats with another creator. So I was curious
Mhm.
if you wanted to do more stuff like that, or I guess more merchandise stuff here in 2023 or even beyond that.
Yeah, I'm already starting to work on some new merch for the new year. My first piece of merch that we made for that good shit was these hoodies that said "I made you a playlist" on the back,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone loved those. So I'm planning on bringing those back in 2023, and the bucket hats, as well as another round of sweatshirts we did earlier this year, were a collaboration with this amazing creator who goes by Oh Please, and they make completely thrifted, like cut and sew one of
Mm-hmm.
one items, and I found them on Etsy because I wanted to find someone who could make like a sweatshirt with like blobs on it that like patch like blobs, and I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find that anywhere. So when I found her, I was really excited, and I definitely want to continue doing merch that way as well. I really want to uplift, especially like other women in the creative space,
Mm-hmm.
designing clothing and doing cool shit. So definitely moving into 2023, I want to make new kinds of merch. I want to make like creative things beyond just like hats and sweatshirts.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely will continue to collaborate with other creators as well.
So nice. And then I mean, I guess I also wanted to ask for people that don't make playlists for a living, because I mean, I've never honestly been like a huge playlist guy. Like maybe I'd make a little playlist like of songs I'm interested in to like listen to in the shower, but I never felt like I was good at playlists, or like it would all just be like half from this one album and then like a few other random songs I liked at the time. So for people that not even necessarily want to do it, as a career or make money off of, but just to kind of level up their playlist or their own music taste, what kind of tips would you give to them?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, but the reason I make playlists is either to like hold a memory or to capture a feeling. So I think a fun way to make playlists, for example, one tip I like to give people is if you're going on a trip or if you're doing like a specific activity, especially something that spans like a couple days or a couple weeks, make
Mm-hmm.
a playlist of songs for that specific activity or that time frame and only listen to that when you're like on that trip or doing that certain thing. And then over time, you'll listen back to that playlist and it'll remind you of a certain time. And I think that really will help people understand the power of how a playlist can hold memories. Like, for example, when I was 16, my family took a trip to Europe and my dad played the same like 20-song playlist for the
Mm-hmm.
entire trip. By the end, we were so tired of it. We were like, Dad, please play something else. But now, whenever I hear any of those songs, I'm immediately transported back to like very specific memories from that trip when I was 16. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one tip I have is like utilize playlists to help you, like lock in memories of a specific time. Also, another tip I have is just like really get specific with your playlist. Like make a playlist that feels like one very specific emotion, and feel free to get like as weirdly abstract as you want. Like you're not making your playlist for anyone else to understand it. The only thing that matters is that it like you understand it. So just make a playlist based on what feels good and natural to you. You don't have to explain it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I started putting my playlists out there, like after they had already been up on my Spotify for years of me making like very weird personal playlists. And
Mm-hmm.
I just felt crazy enough to put them out there and people liked them. So, everyone's music taste is unique and perfect in its own way. So just make playlists, have fun with it, and don't think too much into it.
So I think that was a good point that you brought up. That like really capturing a moment or like a trip. Because I remember I went to Las Vegas for the first time back when Astroworld dropped, and I remember I landed like the night it dropped. I downloaded it on Spotify like as we were on the way to the hotel, and I remember listening to Stargazing, looking at Las Vegas, the lights for the first time. And so
Yeah.
now every time I listen to that, it kind of takes me back there. Or
That,
or I went to Colorado summer 2021 and like a little like mountain trip thing, and I listened to the Jay-Z Linkin Park album because I like found the CD at a thrift store, and that was like there was no internet signal, so I had to listen to that 5 times over. So I think that's a really good important thing, is that whether it be a trip, a big trip, or even just like how you're kind of feeling in that time. I think it's a really good way to kind of capture a moment other than like a picture or a video. You can kind of capture, I guess, your feelings in a way. So I really like that you brought that up.
yeah, yeah. You can capture like a mental image like
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's from like your own unique perspective. So, I think it's just a really cool way of like reliving a moment more than like a picture could ever do.
Mm-hmm. And then also when we were talking about the merchandise and stuff, you talked about collaborating with other artists. And so I also wanted to ask you about Sunday Sounds and some of the different events you helped put on, and kind of what drove you to do those.
Yeah, so the first event I ever put on, well, originally the very first event I was planning for that good shit was in, I think, May or maybe August. It's like summer of 2021. And I was planning a house party in Eugene, Oregon, where I was living at the time. And I was planning a That Good Shit house party where we were only going to play good music. Because I was living in
Mm-hmm.
Eugene, Oregon, this college town, where all of the parties were playing shit music. And I was so
Uh-huh.
over it. I was like, we need to have at least like one party where there's only good music. But I ended up getting COVID a couple days before. So we
Oof.
had to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ended up being the actual first event was right when I moved down to LA, after I lived in Oregon. And I organized a show called The Ascension. And it was just a showcase of, I think, 6 artists. And it was super small. We had like maybe 50 to 80 people come.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cute. And I've always really enjoyed putting together lineups. Even when I attend music festivals, I will like sit down with the lineup and draw like an hour by hour schedule for each day of like what artists I'm going to see and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So I just really like curating, like how my day at a festival will go and what artists I think will flow well. So being able to translate that into putting a lineup together right away, I realized was something I'm really passionate about and I'm really good at. So after we did that first show, The Ascension, that's when I met Green Tea Studios, the whole team there based in LA. They were really amazing, really loved what I was doing. I started doing our Green Tea Radio weekly Instagram live show with them. And as we built our relationship, we were like, we should throw a show together because they have a great community of artists already established in LA. And That Good Shit was growing really fast and getting a lot of attention. So we decided to put on a show called Sunday Sounds. And it was essentially just a mini music festival on a Sunday afternoon with performances from some dope small artists. So we
Mm-hmm.
did our first one in November of 2021, and it went really well. We had about 100 people. We had some really great artists on the lineup, and immediately we were like, we have to do this again. And everyone was asking us to do it again. And now,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward a year later, we're about to throw our eighth one, I believe. And they've grown to have like 500 plus people. We're
Dang.
getting amazing artists on the lineup, and it's been really fun. And from the beginning, the whole goal has been to just showcase like underground artists of all levels, from like teeny tiny artists with like no monthly listeners to
Mm-hmm.
like pop and underground artists who are just starting to break into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really fun and it's been a really cool way to grow community.
So yeah, I also like how you mentioned at the beginning, like being from Eugene, Oregon, how the Yeah, I'm from Kansas and I'm in like a college town right now. So yeah, people, as you can imagine, don't listen to the most diverse hip hop or anything. They kind of listen to the old classics and stuff. So I like how you were trying to, only play good music. Play something new. Show people new stuff. So what advice would you give to someone that, maybe from, like a small town or, like a smaller city that, there isn't that big of a music scene or a hip hop scene or something like that, that they could go in, do this themselves, whether it be, something smaller or similar scale? What advice would you give to someone that wanted to start something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I refuse to believe that there's anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world where there aren't at least two to three people that are interested in the same kind of music. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you'd be surprised, like, the craziest, tiniest towns where, like, the biggest, like, most impactful music scenes come from, you know? Like, you never really know. Like, each place in the world has a unique set of conditions and a unique culture that's going to allow for music to thrive in a different way. So if you live in a small town and you feel like there's no one else around you who likes what you like, or if you make music, no one is making what you're making, I think the most important thing for you to do is to put yourself out there, like create or just share the music that you like as much as you can. And there will
Mm-hmm.
be someone else out there who is looking for someone just like you. Like, I literally promise you, it doesn't matter like what other people think of you, because life is short and we do not have time to concern ourselves with the opinions of others. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so serious. Just put yourself out there, like be relentless in how you express yourself, and just like love the music that you love. And I promise you, like, no matter where you are, there's going to be someone else who feels the same way.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a good message, and I mean, especially nowadays with online, I mean, you can connect with people pretty easily. Like if I was into rap music in like the early '90s, like it probably would have been hard for me to find like a CD around here. But now I can just easily go on my phone and in 5 minutes find a Discord of people that are like specifically into a certain kind of hip hop, a certain genre, whether they make it, listen to it, into a specific artist. So I think it's a lot easier now to really connect with people, whether it be in a music sense or digital artists, 3D modelers, all kinds of stuff. So I think that's also important, is being able to just reach out to people online and find those communities. Because I mean, for pretty much anything, I'm sure there's a Discord or a forum or something somewhere that exists for that.
Right.
Um, and then I also, you kind of mentioned, for Sunday Sounds, bringing up smaller artists and kind of people that are popping on the underground. I also wanted to ask you, since you're also an artist manager, wanted to kind of talk about Diz, and how
Mhm.
you kind of formed that relationship, becoming his manager.
Yeah, so I came across Diz at the end of 2021, probably around September or October. And it was just because he commented on one of my TikToks and he was like, "You should listen to my music." And I was like, "Okay, I will." And immediately I heard his song Rest, and it just moved me. Like, I still remember the first time I heard it, I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. I just thought it was so amazing, really unique. I loved his voice and just the way he emotes really
Mhm.
connected with me. And at that same time, when I discovered Diz, I was working at a distro company called Venice, and they had these weekly panels for all the interns where the staff of the company would put together a little panel on different topics and speak to all of the interns. And there was a panel about women in management, and it was a couple managers in the company, and they were just talking about their experiences being a manager, what it's like. And beforehand, I had never considered being a manager. I didn't think I would like it,
Mhm.
but that panel got me really, really inspired and feeling like, wow, okay, I feel like I maybe could be good as a manager. And right around that time, I discovered Diz, and after sitting on it for about a week or two, I reached out to him and I was like, yo, I think I could really be a good manager for you. I don't know what I'm doing, but I also know you probably don't know what you're doing. So we can figure it out together. And
Mhm.
that's how the relationship started. Over time, we've become really good friends. We work really well together, and he's been doing an amazing job. He just dropped his new album, The Way Forward Is
Mhm.
Not the Way Home, and it's sensational. So honestly, being a manager is easy when the artist you work with makes like genuinely amazing music.
So I think that's awesome that it was able to just kind of form so naturally, just a TikTok comment, and then it just kind of snowballed into where it is now. And I mentioned I'm in college. I'm in grad school right now, but I have my bachelor's degree in management. And artist management is always something that I kind of thought like maybe in the future something that I definitely want to get into. So for people like me and others. I mean, obviously that kind of was just able to grow naturally, um, but you were able to get inspired. What would you say to them to kind of help them get started? To someone that's like, you said you didn't know what you were doing, but you figured it out. So kind of what would maybe something that you wish you would have knew when you started?
Um, I think it's really important to know that you're going to feel completely unprepared when you start managing an artist. It is so much, especially like I think an advantage I had was I had just started working in the music industry. I had no idea what it actually meant to even be an artist manager and all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that it entailed. But if you're going in with a little bit more of an established idea, like it can be really intimidating because you have a million responsibilities. You have to have expertise in a million different areas. So just know that when you start, like when you're a new artist manager, when you start out, you're going to feel underprepared. And that's very okay. Like that is very normal. I think the most
Mm-hmm.
important thing you can do is to just identify your strengths, identify what you're good at, and, start with that. And then things you're not good at, figure it out along the way. There are resources for you to learn. I also think something really important is to ask questions, have
Mm-hmm.
friends you trust who are good managers, and ask them questions about how to do things. Literally every day, I'm texting a friend or calling someone being like, like this came up and I don't know how to handle it. What do I do?
Uh-huh.
So just ask questions, go with the flow, and just, you'll get better over time.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah, I think that's true for anything. Trying to learn how to draw, how to do, be a manager. Just asking questions and finding those communities or friends that do something similar. Because yeah, no one just learns how to draw beautifully by themselves. They found a book or had a teacher, or so I think that's important is that you're not alone, and to definitely try to reach out to people, whether it's a friend or online, because there's a ton of people willing to help out there. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then since I mean you seem to be really liking it, is that something you maybe want to get like do more artists in the future or
It's hard to say. I think right now, I think I wouldn't continue doing management for other artists. I'll probably stick with Diz for as long as the relationship goes for.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know if I would manage again in the future. I think it's really fun and I enjoy it, but I'm doing so many other things that I'm really
Mm-hmm.
passionate about. I don't think that it's going to be taking the driver's seat in my priorities, although it is really fun. But like, you never know. If I come across the right artist and I feel like it's a good fit and I feel like I can help them, I do think that, it could happen. So I'm not ruling it out. But out of all of the things I do, I would say that I probably wouldn't put artist management at the top of like what my priorities are for my
Mm-hmm.
future.
So speaking on some of the many other things you do, I wanted to kind of talk about DJing. I mean, I think that'd be a, perfect fit with you as a music curator. So kind of talk about your journey with getting started with being a DJ.
Yeah, so I started DJing at the end of 2021 during the summer, like late summer. I bought a DJ board secondhand from like a frat dude in Oregon. And for the first year, I had no idea what I was doing and I barely practiced because I was so intimidated by it. But then
Mm-hmm.
once I moved to New York, I had a lot of friends who were DJs and I really wanted to get good at it, especially because it's a good way to make money in New York as well. And I already have a good platform. So I was like, if I become a good DJ, like, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
start getting booked to do gigs. I can make money and develop a fun new skill. And I feel like DJs are just like cool people in general. So I'm like, I want to do that. And it's been a really fun journey learning how to DJ. I definitely still feel like I'm a beginner. It is really fun to be able to introduce a room of people to the music that you love. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I I I often fall into the trap of like comparing myself to other DJs and being like, oh, is this what I should be playing? Is this what I should be playing? But it's always really affirming to come off the stage after a set and have people come up to me and be like, I love the music you were playing. Like, I've never heard anyone play this before. And it made me
Mm-hmm.
so excited when this song came on. So it's been really fun. And it just takes a lot of consistency and practice.
Say nice. And then I mean, you talked about the technical side, kind of how you learned that with friends. But since you said you did a lot of performances, what would you give to people that maybe they DJ in their room a little bit, but they are scared to get a gig because I mean it is a big performance, and while you might be sometimes just kind of on the side while people are dancing, you are still performing in front of a crowd. So I guess do you have any tips
Yeah.
for people that are kind of nervous to do a gig because of that?
I mean, your first gig, like you're literally gonna shit your pants. Like you're gonna be so afraid. I still get really scared when I go up there. Now that I have a bit of a hang of things, it's a little less scary. But like your first DJ gig is gonna be so scary. But you just gotta get up there and do it. I think the approach I took is like my first DJ gig, I organized an event where I knew it was just gonna be like a couple of my close friends, so they
Mhm.
wouldn't judge me and we were just gonna have fun. Like my first ever DJ set was in New York at a rooftop show I put together for Frank Sativa, and I just did a little DJ set, and it was pretty bad. Like I messed up a lot, but I had fun,
Uh-huh.
and each time after that, it got easier and easier. So tips, I'd say like feel prepared, like feel as prepared as you can, practice, but once you step up on that stage, it's going to be scary. You just got to go for it, and you're only going to get better with time. Like maybe even start DJing at like house parties with your friends first, and then get in front of
Mhm.
strangers when you're ready.
I mean, yeah, you're never gonna come out, being the best DJ off the first performance. So yeah, you just kind of got to get the first one out of the way. And yeah, I think that's good to just kind of have some friends and kind of start building up that confidence.
Mhm.
And then I also want to talk about another thing that you do is you also have a podcast, and unlike this one, it is a live podcast. So I kind of wanted to talk about, I guess, some of your maybe plans for that in the future, and why you wanted to go with a live podcast instead of a pre-recorded one.
Yeah, so the podcast is actually like a Spotify Live show. It's like that good shit on Spotify Live.
Hmm.
I became aware of Spotify Live when Deb Lemons started doing her show, like the Lorem Life show on Spotify Live, and I thought
Hmm.
that was really cool. And my friend Justin, who's the co-host of the podcast, came up with the idea of doing a Spotify Live show, and we had talked about collaborating on something. And for months and months and months, we like kind of tried to plan it and kind of put it off and didn't know what it was going to look like and da 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 da. And then eventually we settled on like, okay, we're getting this started, we're going to do it. And so eventually we did our first episode, and it turned into a whole first season. And the whole premise of it is to bring on the artists that we're supporting on the That Good Shit platform. And
Hmm.
we also like to bring on one of their like industry counterparts, whether that be a manager or a curator or someone more behind the scenes who they
Hmm.
work with closely, so that we can talk to the artist about their music, their experiences, all that good stuff. And then also talk to a young music industry professional who's, doing stuff in an innovative way and working alongside these small artists. And it's just cool to get a holistic look at like the music industry in general. Like like I feel like we're speaking to the future of the music industry.
Hmm.
Like in 10, 20 years, all of these people are going to be the leaders. So we're just trying to like document all of these artists and young professionals where their heads are at now, and helping to kind of inform what the future is going to look like. And we record it on Spotify Live, so it is a live podcast. And I think that's fun because it's a little more interactive. People can
Hmm.
come in and listen live. There's a chat, so people can ask questions, send little gifts or whatever in the chat, and people can even come in and ask questions. It's kind of set up like Clubhouse, if anyone
Yeah.
listening has used Clubhouse.
Uh,
And then we do post it as a podcast afterward, but the recording of it is live. So I think it just makes for some interesting conversation, and it's a little more engaging with the audience.
so yeah, I think that's really cool that you also not only just do the artists that you're trying to show, but kind of some of the people in the music industry. Because I think that's, I mean, obviously incredibly important, but I don't think people get to, kind of see behind the curtain as much. Because like, I mentioned I wanted to be, I'm interested in being an artist manager. I mean, you can definitely find interviews and stuff and learn more about it, but it's not, as easy, or like there's not as many as, just for musicians or rappers. So I think that, and audio engineers, mixers, like all of that kind of people who are most definitely a huge part of the music industry, but I guess don't have as much of a public voice as kind of the main artist themselves. I think that's really cool that you're able to also kind of show like, hey, these people are here too. They're super important, and kind of get to talk to them and kind of hear what they do in their side of it. So I think that's really cool. And then you've also done kind of more, I guess, on the street style of interviews with big artists like JID, Tizo Touchdown. I kind of wanted to ask how you were able to get those sort of big name artists interviews, just kind of just like you're on the street and just had your phone and just started asking them questions. How were you able to get those?
Yeah, the first artist interview I ever did like an in-person interview was with Gwen Bunn at Green Tea Studios, and that was like a sit down. We filmed it on a nice camera and put it on YouTube, and that was my first experience doing an interview, and I really enjoyed it. And Gwen Bunn was like, "You're a really good interviewer," and I was like, "Girl, thank you." And then right after that, I went to the release party for the Pigeons and Planes compilation album, and Terry Presume was there, and I really wanted to interview him, and I was nervous as hell, but I just walked right up and I was like, "I want to interview you," and he said yes, and like we recorded a little 5 minute interview on my phone. I edited it and posted it like on my subway ride home, and people loved it. And I feel like a lot of the interviews, we see a lot of interviews on YouTube and stuff like that, but I wasn't seeing a lot of interviews with the artists I loved that were in like kind of TikTok or real format. And that's like what's taking over right now. So
Hmm.
that kind of inspired me to get started doing it that way. And then the artist kept getting bigger and bigger. The JID interview happened because my friend Luis works at Interscope, and that's JID's label. And so
Hmm.
he invited me to come to JID's album listening event for the Forever Story. And then I was able to just catch JID at the end of the night and asked him if he wanted to do an interview. And luckily he said yes, which I'm learning now is like pretty rare. Like he doesn't really do that many interviews. So
Uh-huh.
I'm really grateful that he was down that night. And yeah, I just like I threw my phone to my friend. I was like, "You record this," and I used my like other phone for the mic, and that's
Hmm.
just how it happened. And now, since the interviews have been doing really well, a lot of artists and their teams are reaching out to me asking if they can set up interviews, or if I see someone's like coming into town on tour, I'll hit up their team and be like, "Please let me do an interview." So yeah, it's been really cool seeing how the interviews have worked out so far. And right now, interviewing is my favorite thing out of all of the things I'm doing. It's what I'm most
Hmm.
passionate about right now. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing a lot of interesting interviews this year, taking my interview game up a notch. And, I've got some exciting plans this year for interviews. So it's going to be fun.
So yeah, that's cool that you're able to just kind of, ask some of these people and they're like, you know what, I'm down. And I mean, especially to get JID on, his album listening party, like kind of, I mean, that was one of the best hip hop albums of the year. And I mean, a lot of people agree. So that's cool that you're able to kind of, talk to him at such a important moment in his career. Cause I mean, that's definitely going to go down as an amazing, amazing album. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, we've talked about, you doing playlists, music curation, DJing, what are some maybe musicians or artists that you would recommend people check out, or people that, people should look out for in 2023 in the years to come?
Oof. I mean, in 2023, I have a couple artists I think people really need to be keeping an eye on. Firstly, is Jordan Ward. Jordan Ward has been doing some amazing shit. Like, he has a really long history of, he's been a dancer for a long time and he started making music, and he's just absolutely amazing. And I see him having a huge year. His voice is just magical. So, definitely Jordan Ward. I think people should keep their eye on Dochi. Like a lot of people know who Dochi is now, but I think like she
Mm-hmm.
is just at the beginning. I think she's going to be a generational like talent, one of a kind. I just recently learned that she was a YouTuber and she was vlogging before she became like this huge TDE signed artist. And I watched back on all these vlogs, and it's like she absolutely like worked for this and manifested this for herself. And so
Mm-hmm.
to see where she's at now that she has like money behind her creativity, like she's just going to
Uh-huh.
skyrocket. So I think people should definitely look out for Dochi. And who else? I think Frank Sativa is going to have a huge year as well. I think people should watch out for Frank Sativa. Like I can see him going like on the path to being someone like a Dijon, or someone who's like very respected as having a super unique and impactful sound in R&B.
So then I also got to ask, I mean, what are your plans for 2023, or that good shit's plans? What should people look forward to that are fans of you?
Yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to this year. I think everyone should look forward to. I'm really trying to get in my journalistic bag and do some really nice interviews,
Mm-hmm.
and just really start making like really high quality interview content. And I'm trying to get that good shit in the future. I want it to be like the next complex kind of thing. Like I really want to be highlighting the most important music of the world, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's the plan. That good shit's going to continue doing all of our cool playlist stuff. Like we're working on a new system for making custom playlists for our community. That's going to be really exciting. We're expanding our team of curators, so that's going to be really fun. New merch is coming this year as well, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that's the big plans, but there's also so much that could happen that I don't even know, like
Hmm.
obviously more shows as well, like the shows are going to keep getting big, but I'm really just open to whatever comes my way. I feel like I continue receiving blessings that I did not see coming, so just like I don't even know. Who knows? I'm just excited for everything.
So yeah, you can only plan for so much. Life just happens. So I'm excited to see where you guys will be in a year from now, or even 5 to 10 years from now. Um, but then I guess lastly, is there anything else you wanted to, whether it be advice or something you wanted to shout out or say to the audience?
I think I just like to shout out all of the people that have kind of joined the That Good Shit team this year. Until like that mid 2022, I was really doing everything myself. And as of the last couple of months, I've had some team members join That Good Shit and be tremendously helpful. I want to shout out Ria and Sarah, who are kind of like the That Good Shit intern slash assistants. I want to shout out like our new A&R curator team that we're going to be posting a lot more about this year on That Good Shit. Really grateful for them. And big shout out to Green Tea Studios as well. We've been working really hard on these Sunday Sounds shows, and that's the
Hmm.
biggest project That Good Shit is working on. So those have just been really exciting, and I'm really grateful for all of their support. Yeah, shout out to everyone who has just supported so far. It's been really cool, and I think 2023 is going to be a really amazing year.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you for taking the time to come on and talk. I can't wait to see what you and That Good Shit have coming for this year. Everybody, make sure to follow Annabelle and That Good Shit. Link will be in the comments. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.